Okay, and we are live Areno. Should be going to Twitch. I just want to make sure that it's getting there before we do anything crazy. Hey, I'm seeing it. Cool. Hasn't gotten to YouTube yet, but we'll hope that it gets there soon. All right. Well, are you guys ready to jump into introductions of who we are and all that fun stuff? Or your internet's just going?
Indeed, we are.
All right, 10 forwards internet went. I'm moving right along here while the other two try to download the PTU as it fights the back. I'm Drex, director of LBL, or one of the two directors of LBL, host of the podcast. Icarus, you are you. Who are you? You are you.
So I am the combat division lead for LBL. We do all things fun, explosive, and ground combat-y. And that's really our branch. Kid, is 10 still having issues?
Hey everyone, can you hear me
I think
now?
10 no work.
Oh, yep.
Hey, there we go. Technology is a fantastic thing. Hello everyone. I am 10 Forward. I am the Science and Exploration Division Lead. Currently mainly focused on medical gameplay and all things support for our other divisions. That's about it, honestly.
Cool. We're getting better and better at that and not having it take 15 minutes out of our time. We did that in 2 minutes today. On that note, we'll roll straight into Star Citizen news for this week. Of which,
hooray!
There was a lot, but also, not a lot. This week was much quieter than last week. There have been some Evocati builds out. We don't really know much about them. We know there's a new Xenothreat mission being tested. We knew that last week, though, so nothing really has changed there. And then there's a new 3221 EPTU out that we will be showing off on the stream a little later with some new Master Mode stuff and some new Grav Bike stuff. I don't know if there's any extra news that you guys picked up on that you want to talk about, but feel free.
As far as news goes, I don't really think there's a whole lot added extra to that. Things have kind of been, I don't want to say necessarily quiet, but the updates have been, basically they've really just talked about everything coming in 3.23 here, and that's a huge chunk of the information that we've gotten. And besides that, it's really just watching all that unfold and come into place.
Yeah. I am seeing in our stream chat that 10 Forward is being called out as quiet. Unfortunately, I have whacked his volume up as much as I can. I think it's the internet that's causing the problems. Icarus, you and 10 Forward have both been kind of fuzzy. So if you guys don't talk or I don't hear you, I'm going to try and fill space. All right, sounds good. Well, I guess with that, we don't have much more news.
Okay, yeah, there's some weird Discord stuff going on, I feel like, because I actually don't hear you in our chat.
Oh, you don't? That's good.
I'm also having the same issues. I'm not hearing Drex, but I am hearing you, Icarus.
Cool.
Perhaps this is a Drex issue?
I have hopefully fixed this.
There we go. Yes.
Hey,
there we go.
Cool.
Okay.
So the internet was going ballistic. I was losing you guys every 30 seconds.
Okay,
Wonderful.
there we go. We fixed it, guys.
Okay. Ideally, that's all fixed, and
Yep.
we're back.
Yep. Okay, things are good again.
Cool.
We're professionals, everyone.
Yeah, I wish we had like a technical difficulties thing for our stream. That's the next thing to set up, I think.
Yeah.
we just need it to be someone using a multi-tool on one of us on the ground.
Yeah, a multi-tool to a person. Technical difficulties.
That's it. That's the picture.
As a community
wonderful.
member, if anybody's watching that wants to get us a really funny technical difficulties picture, as we've just said, we're looking for one. So we'll take on any submissions we get.
You have an assignment.
Yep, you have been assigned a task. The people of LBL.
Go forth, create,
Or go
destroy.
fifth and win a toaster.
or destroy. All right, so now that the technical issues are hopefully behind us, where were we at?
Well, I was talking about the news this week just kind of being it's good news, it's not huge news. And then I was going to throw it over to you guys, see if you guys had any news you wanted to talk about.
As far as news, I was saying, it doesn't really seem like there's been a lot since last week, because a lot of it was that 3.23 changes coming. That was a lot. That was a very big drop, so I didn't expect much this week. But like I said, it's just really information updates like, hey, seems to be moving along, this is getting completed, so I don't think there's really, besides what you mentioned with the bikes and everything, I don't really think there's much else.
We did also get a monthly report, but based on the things we have been seeing, it basically just confirmed a lot of things that we went over last week.
Yeah.
So, like, we could spend an episode going over it, but we basically already did last week, so we don't want to bore everybody with that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's fair.
Especially since it's just kind of confirming what we said.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't really have any news either.
So with news out of the way, I think maybe the only other thing that was newsworthy is this week's sneak peek was, I think it was another gray box picture of the Zeus. Check your emails every Friday. They show up on Friday, and they should have the very bottom, the little sneak peek, and we're pretty sure it was the Zeus bridge or cockpit, or whatever you call it.
I'm very excited for that.
I don't have the picture available, or else I would show it. But again, if you're looking for it, check your emails from CIG, and it'll be there.
Yeah. I'm excited for the Zeus, and I'm glad to see it's progressing along. It honestly, it seems like a fairly decent pace.
Yeah, and it seems like CIG is like working towards getting it sorted as soon as possible.
I think it's just part of their whole initiative where they're trying to focus on one manufacturer at a time, and they just chose RSI to go with first.
Yeah,
of course. But yeah, they're trying to. That's why I'm pretty confident we're going to see, the Zeus, the Galaxy, Perseus. Is it the Perseus or Polaris?
The Polaris will be first.
Polaris.
Yeah.
Point being that we're going to see those RSI ships relatively soon.
And I'm not shocked, because they're the namesake of, they're synonymous with Star Citizen. You can't get an RSI ship and be like, oh, that's not Star Citizen. Or you can't play Star Citizen and not be like, oh, that's RSI. Because I'm pretty sure the website is still branded as RSI primarily.
Yeah, it's still under Robert Space Industries.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, fair. And yeah, like Shinobi put in chat, also it's the Arastra, I think is how it's pronounced, Arastra.
Yes, the Ara.
The RRR.
Yeah, Arara.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be very cool. The Rastafari.
There we go.
There we go. It's just going to get worse and worse every time we say it. You guys can follow along as we go through the streams, and hopefully by the time the ship comes out, it's going to be incoherent what we're calling it.
It's like a game of telephone. We're not even going to be close to the original.
The Rastafari Ari Marty.
Yeah, we're going to get ridiculous.
we need it to be 1,000 letters long.
Exactly. No,
Can we
that's
do
a
a
good
whole-
segue.
Like, go ahead.
Unless you guys aren't ready to segue. Are we ready to segue?
No, I'm good. I had a dumb joke, but let it go.
I would
Just
say
let it go
perfect
die.
time to segue as we're talking about RSI ships. We were going to take an opportunity today to talk about all the master mode stuff that we said we would talk about last stream.
Yes.
Which means that we get to show off some stuff in game. We actually, I pulled the good old computer out and got it set up so we can show some stuff off and not just talk at your faces.
Not just speaky speak.
So you guys
So,
should be able to
Drexy-
see my game screen now.
Do you want to throw me a party invite so we can jump in there together?
We could try. This should work.
I'm working on current technical difficulties, but it seems the ETPU does not like me today.
Yes, the the game for 10 and I, it's working. Icarus is still hearing copious amounts of mariachi music.
It's the damn Xeno threat, man. I'm telling you,
They're
they're coming for me.
blasting his system.
So some, I guess, fun stuff with the master modes now. And of course, like we said earlier, this is EPTU. This isn't to live, but it's really close.
I believe it's open PTU technically at Wave 4. I don't know if Wave 4 is open or Wave 5, but most people
It might be. I know they talked a while back about condensing a lot of that anyway.
Yeah.
But point being, though, it's not in the PU, but it's really close. And with the first iteration of the master modes, I know, Drex, you and I were there that day. Like, basically, as soon as it became publicly available to the EPTU, we were on it.
Yeah,
but
we were in immediately.
It was originally just the Gladius, but they have now graduated up and brought in the Hammerhead.
I said, let me pop through the list here on my screen.
Let's see, I'm looking at it.
We start off with
there's
the
some
Gladius.
good stuff now.
Yeah, we start off with the Gladius. As I mess around the screen, the most common fighter in Star Citizen, kind of the hero ship, which obviously that means it's getting the tuning before anything else. Then the Hammerhead, a brand new addition to this patch. That one's one that I'm interested in like talking about because I want to talk about the ships individually. I have flown the Hammerhead a little bit, and I think a lot of people will be very interested to see how it flies. Vanguard Warden. This was released last time they did the testing. Again, super interesting. And the Aegis Dynamics line has had 3 ships. So you can definitely start to see brand identity there.
100%.
Yeah.
You have the Hornet.
Oh,
which, again,
so gorgeous.
like, just a really good standardized ship for the verse.
I'm very excited to see how the Hornet holds up, just because I love my Hornet so much, and I want to see it.
I played around a bit with the Hornet in Master Modes, but I haven't played in this iteration yet, but in just the standard Master Modes that we have currently, the Hornet felt great. It was really fun.
And then I guess on to the next one, we got the Drake Buccaneer. This one, when we show it off later and when we talk about it, I have some words about the Buccaneer.
Oh no.
Not bad words, but I think it is the most interesting of the ships I've gotten a good chance to put my hands on. And like, I will die on the hill that it is one of the most interesting, if not the most interesting. And then another new one, the Merlin.
Yes, the Merlin is here.
That's going to be... it's the only one I have not flown yet, but that is, I assume, going to be very fast.
Yeah,
I would assume. It's already speedy.
Last but definitely not least, we're looping back to RSI, and we got the Constellation Andromeda. I have had a chance to put hands on with this one, and little sneak peek for you guys in the chat, or little sneak thing. It's not the worst flying ship in the game anymore. Like,
so I know the colony has always suffered from issues with yaw. Trying to move left or right, it is so slow. Is that any different now?
The yaw is rough, but like I can't explain it without showing it. It just feels better. We will show it obviously for everybody watching the stream who's like, I don't know what he's saying. We will show it, and like I will explain what my feelings are, and I assume 10 will also explain his as he's flying, if he's flying the same thing, or he'll explain his feelings on what he's flying.
I figure if we want, we can fly the same one. That way we can discuss it and then move on to the next.
Sure. So let's start off with the Gladius then. Let's just go down the list.
Yep.
The
standard here.
I would say, due to the way the system works, theoretically we can switch all the way through the line of ships without ever having to leave the match.
Oh,
which is great.
I think you have to actually give me a party invite within Arena Commander now.
Do I? Okay, invite to party. We'll give you that one, and we'll see what's up.
There we go.
Cool. And you'll have to ready up, and we'll be able to do something.
All right, I'm ready.
Also, for anybody watching the stream, we're not going to be showing off like hardcore combat or anything. We may spar a little bit, but we do have to go into public servers. This does mean that like other players might do things, and other players might do things that are kind of shifty. So
we might get shot.
Yeah, I know. I had the hammerhead out an hour ago, and I got rammed into just because I had a hammerhead. So like. Things are going to happen. Bear with us. We'll talk through things as we go.
Well, fair warning, I do not have my little pedal and macro set up for my countermeasures, so if someone gets on me with a missile, it might be short-lived.
Yeah, if we die, we die.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to launch this in.
Yep.
It's almost jarring when you finally jump into master modes, because you don't know what to expect. But I have to say, the bit of time I've had in the Gladius with the combat, it felt good. It was really, really good.
The Gladius is quite good. I'm going to deploy, and we'll see what happens here.
Oh, we can slot in other ships. Oh, that's right.
Yes.
They have multi-crews available.
Yep, and every time you respawn, you should be able to slot ships differently. So I've got the ships down the list based on alphabetical order. And I'll just let you know when we switch. I know other people, it looks like, are fighting in the lobby currently. I'm ideally not going to be taking part of that. Hopefully we don't have to deal with that.
Oh, I forgot how snappy the Gladius can be. Wow.
Yes. So, to start off... Oh, I've been shot at. Already. So to start off with a bit of a, like, what is Master Modes at, like, the core of the new system, it, once again, and I know, like, we as a community have seen it many times, it once again completely shifts how the flight mechanics of the game work. I don't know if anybody else has anything more in-depth to say about it before we move, like, kind of deeper, but, it's a playing style flight system.
I would say the big change really with it is your speed, and also it really does feel like the turn rate and weapons have made a very big difference. It is an entirely different like combat game now.
Yeah. Well, I'm not firing on 10-piece bucket over there, but I just locked onto him to show you guys how the new tracking works. The pips are incredibly accurate, and the readouts you get for like being locked on are much more effective. Well, again, it's a new system to learn. I think it's better overall.
I would say one of the things I really like about it, honestly, is the different. It gives you different pips for all your guns. So ones that have further ranges will let you know before you get to your ones that are like for closer, which I think is really nice.
And like you go back to the days of when you decide in your loadout you have to monoboat or else you're going to be in trouble. And these Gladiuses aren't currently set up on a mono loadout, so like for example, when I get on 10 here, I have 2 pips, one for the repeaters and one for the Gatling on the nose.
Yep.
So my biggest thing, and this is just me flying around the station here, is just seeing that so I'm currently in SCM mode, which is the combat mode, and the Gladius is quick, but it really excels at making sharp turns and readjusting the direction I'm flying very quickly.
Mm.
But I know if I swap into nav mode, that's going to flop, and I'm excited to try that out. But I have to adjust my keybinds.
Fair. Well, and as somebody who's done a bit more testing, I think I probably have the most time of all 3 of us in master modes. While flying the Gladius, you're going to start to realize that Aegis archetype that they're going for, or at least that I believe they're going for, where the ship flies, not to confuse it with like the anvil arrow, but the ship flies like an arrow. Things are very straight, they're very smooth. When you pull a maneuver like I just did, you will push all of your thrust out of the back end of the ship, and the ship really, really excels in that type of flight. And all of the Aegis ships so far seem like they do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what I said in our LBL chat when I was jotting down notes. I'm pretty sure the way I described the Gladius was like, it is the bread and butter. You get into it, it feels like a space plane, and it feels like what you expect it should feel like.
Yeah. And the really nice thing about it is an incredibly smooth flight now. Like, so far, all the ships I flew, they fly how you expect them, even, with coupling off. They feel incredibly good.
And for people watching the stream that just saw the maneuver I did there, the Gladius it's so rear thruster heavy, which is great. It means its maneuvering like side to side isn't as great, and tricording is almost all gone for the people who understand how that works. But you have to fly based on your thrusters behind you. Your maneuvering thrusters are no longer just as powerful as your tail thrusters.
So, to throw in a couple things that I just, 1, remembered from previous iterations, and 2, noticing here. One big change that I like is that, so when you're in SCM mode, if you're full throttle forward, you won't leave the SCM level. Like, it won't let you go into the red without boosting, which is nice.
Yes.
Because you can keep your limiter there, so if you need to, you can boost to full speed, but you don't have to change that limiter as you go, which I love that. And I fly with G-Safe off, and I'm immediately seeing the difference with this.
You will notice.
Yeah, coupled is an experience now.
Another thing, and this is the ping off what you were saying there, Drex, the ship being very rear thruster heavy, I am noticing... Oops, someone just hit the station.
Yeah, people are ramming into it.
I am noticing when I'm like flying through the rings and whatnot, my usual technique where if I need to adjust, I can roll and use my bottom thrusters with boost to move around. It's not working the same because those thrusters aren't as powerful. Like you're saying,
the tail end of your ship really tells you where you're going.
Yeah, I'm noticing that very heavily.
And a thing you're going to notice archetype-wise with the Gladius that's really interesting, and I kind of explained it before. It's straight like an arrow. Doing those maneuvers with your maneuvering thrusters, like left, right, up, down, it won't get you the kind of mileage that you used to be able to get, and it won't even get you near the mileage you used to get.
Yeah.
That's all mostly corrective, and you can fly without hands on your second stick.
I'm noticing. Honestly, it's very different, but I like the difference.
Yeah, no, that's the best way to put it. It is incredibly different, but it feels natural.
It feels
Uh,
better than the current system.
Now that I took myself out, I'm going to switch over to the hammerhead and let you catch up on that one.
Yeah. Oh, real quick before I leave the Gladius, I don't know if you happen to notice, but on your weapons for the Mantis, did you see the ammo count?
Yes, the ammo counts are incredibly increased for this test.
I love that, and I hope it stays because going from 250 rounds to 1,000 changes the usability of that ballistic gun.
Yes. Oh, for sure. I agree. Like 105%. Yeah, I'll say that. 150%.
I'm going to take myself out right quick and grab a hammerhead.
Yeah, this one is I'm showing in third person because it is very interesting. For anybody watching the stream, feel free to sound off in chat if you want to talk like with us a bit and like figure out a
Yes,
little bit about ships, or if
please
you want us to do specific things.
interact with us.
Yes.
We are more than happy.
Um, but as people watching the stream will notice, the hammerhead, in a similar way to the Gladius, it flies very, very straight. Like
It does.
it's very rigid, but it's a good rigid.
But I'm watching. So back
It
when we
does
did all
feel
the
different.
when we all did the missions, in the hammerhead and flying around, it just in the current version, it just goes forward. That's kind of it. Watching you turn, while it doesn't seem fast after the Gladius, that is significantly better than what it was.
Well, and look at the speed at which you can get the nose around. Because
Yeah.
I'm taking a little bit to turn around, but like I have shifted direction without having to fly 500 meters in the opposite direction just to like.
You're not drifting like 600 miles away after going forward trying to stop. You're turning and you're going.
And like my maneuvering thrusters, like I'm gonna be respectful to the hammerhead here, but my maneuvering thrusters are they're as good as useless if I'm moving at speed. But the rear thrusters, you point them, you basically point the back of the ship the opposite of where you want to go, and it will do it. It will respond.
Which is phenomenal.
So like you were saying, Icarus, the hammerhead used to be just point a direction and it goes that way. It still very much goes that way, but I can actually maneuver this thing now.
Yeah,
You have control.
And say that's the difference. You would have to keep the hammerhead I'll say a very, very slow speed in order to have a maneuver. It's a big ship. It's gonna go the direction it's going, but you would turn it and it would just keep going and going and going. Finally, come to a stop, and then you'll start heading the correct direction. Watching you turn and seeing it go is kind of wild.
The interplay here is going to be wild because it means big ships. Not that they can dogfight, but big ships with big engines are going to feel like they have big engines. Like the hammerhead now feels heavy, but it's not unwieldy.
Well,
That's what it should be.
It's a gunship, and I'm able to move it and reposition as I need to, like a gunship should be.
I'm not worried about like this thing picking a direction for itself and just going. I am in control in a way that people flying the hammerhead in the live build just don't get to experience.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say you are the captain now. The ship is not.
No, and I think that's the biggest thing with master modes, and like I know a lot of people are worried about it just because it's another flight change, and every flight change sucks and yada yada blah blah blah. But this feels so much like it puts more power in the pilot. You get more choice in master modes by losing I guess maximum acceleration at 6 degrees and gaining ridiculous acceleration from the tail end of your ship. You can choose how combat goes, how flying goes. Like I know small ships that fly worse than this hammerhead does in the current iteration of the game, which makes me so excited for racing ships.
Probably my biggest thing I want to eventually see, just because obviously thrusters work differently now. You can't just rely on every directional thruster to get you where you're going. You're going to need to actually plan your race.
Well, yeah, and people watching the stream right now, like, I only was able to pull that spin around the station so tightly because, like, if you were paying very close attention, I had the tail end, like, further out. I was having to kind of drift the ship. But now you can do that because you have so much power in those tail thrusters.
And the other thing, maybe this is a hot take, maybe it's not. I think this flight mode already is superior to what we have.
Yeah, I think
100%.
I don't like the 6 points like turn. I know it's, air quote me, skill issue, whatever you want to do. It's such a niche thing that you have to know how to do, that when it comes down to PvP, it's, hey, does the person know this or not? If they don't, goodbye.
Well, and can you, like, pixel perfect tricord was, that was most of, like, Star Citizen combat before this, and I think this is going to change that a whole lot, because it's not about spinning your ship around somebody, like it was prior. This is more about, like, you're going to get nose to nose and you're going to chase somebody or you're going to fight somebody. Like, these Gladiuses, I don't know if anybody could see them all the way out there before I die. But if you're able to see them, or if you were able to see them, they were dancing. It's a dance. It's not a boxing match anymore. You're not just standing in the same ring and, like, throwing guns at each other.
Before, it was really who could do the better drive-by, because you end up getting up at distances where it's like, you pass, you shoot, you pass, you shoot, or, you maneuver around them using, whatever point turns that you want and get behind them and just blow them up. It doesn't really feel good. It's just kind of... It really felt like who could flop around the most.
Yeah, and who could get, like, the highest speed going in a diagonal was kind of like the game in a nutshell, which is weird. I don't think you should be fighting for the highest speed diagonally you can get. I think, like, nose-on fighting is better than that. It
should be who is the better shot and who can maneuver and dodge those shots better.
Yeah, exactly.
I think another big aspect, and with the changes that have happened, I'm also swapping to the Vanguard.
Okay, cool.
The current flight model, sure, it makes sense for a vehicle in 0G having all the degrees of movement. Yeah, that's realistic. But we're not in modern day space, like, exploration and flight. This is far advanced for anything we have now. They're not going to have to deal with those degrees of movement. They're going to be able to fly it like something in that mode, because the different retro thrusters and the different, just changes to the ships itself.
Yeah,
and, like, the goal is always to get back to, and I think, like, that's a big thing in the Star Citizen universe that, like, CIG and RSI haven't, like, said explicitly, but the goal has always been to get back to, like, World War II combat, but with the advancement of having space, basically.
Yeah.
I feel that's just the natural way people, like, understand it.
Yeah, well, and, like... Oh, go ahead, Icarus.
So, dogfighting in fighters and stuff is a blast. It should feel fun, it should feel cool, and... It should be an accomplishment of, I had better aim, I dodged, maneuvered missiles, ballistics, lasers, whatever you want to call it. And, I feel like more people can learn and really improve in that kind of aspect versus, speed, velocity, and, spinning around.
Yeah. Temford, I'm gonna hop off the Vanguard super quick here, because it's very similar to the Hammerhead and the Gladius. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like the middle point, which makes me really happy because all three of those ships that we've shown already, the Vanguard, the Hammerhead, and the Gladius, they feel like different sized variants of what the same manufacturer is looking for. Everything flies like an arrow, everything flies like a dagger, and your rear thrusters are your most important thrusters, hands down.
Which is awesome. That if they can get manufacturing niches into ships, that's going to be a cool thing.
100%.
Right? 100%.
I'm very excited for that.
The next one we go on to is actually, I think, 10 forward. Is this one of your favorites?
Yes.
The Super Hornet?
I do love the Hornet, and without even moving yet, I already think it's going to be similar to the Aegis stuff, but with a little more control on the roll and yaw, just because of the massive moving thrusters it has compared to like the Gladius.
So, the Hornet's another one that I have a lot to talk about, just generally. So, like, feel free to cut me off if I like ramble for too long. But having flown it in master modes, the experience you get and the bonuses that you get from all those little swivel thrusters on the Hornet is,
Oh my gosh.
it's huge. But what that also means, if people are watching, is on your tail thruster, you are not getting on your acceleration nearly as fast as like the Gladius did, and like technically faster than the Hammerhead and the Hornet, or not the Hornet, the Vanguard. But for size, you're not getting on your acceleration nearly as fast.
Mm-hmm.
I did notice that, but if you get in and around the station there, like up in the rings, you can adjust as you need to without any real issue.
And the Hornet dances. The thrusters on it, the way I described it in my post within the LBL channels was that, well, the Gladius flies like an arrow. The Hornet flies... I don't think I used the exact term, but it feels like it flies like a Nerf soccer ball. It's not fast. It's plunging through the air. But like forces react, and it's a little wobbly. But it's wobbly under the pilot's control.
I like it personally.
Yeah. One, like, you can thrust around that main point.
Like you were saying with those back thrusters, you could actually see, like you were saying, the turning and maneuvering difference is far better.
Well, and not even just maneuvering.
Doesn't do that. It doesn't do that, drift and like take off faster, but that turn, how quickly it goes, how smooth it is noticeable.
Well, and I'm gonna try and show it like with the way I'm flying now. Because it's really hard to describe without people flying the ship. But up, down, left, and right, you can fly within that. I don't want to call it a ring, but within that like little bubble with the Hornet. You couldn't do that with the Gladius, but the Hornet is capable of pushing a lot of thrust left, right, up, and down. Mm-hmm. So you're flying on that straight path. But you have this like spacey bubble almost that you have to keep your ship inside, or else it'll get like angry and start complaining.
Which is cool that it has kind of its own unique flight model to it, where it may do something better than the Gladius, but also worse than the Gladius in other areas. Which,
well, the archetype is incredibly different in a really interesting way. Like, it feels nothing like the Gladius or the Hammerhead or the Vanguard. Because it feels like Anvil has focused on this slow to accelerate, but really easy to, like, I guess, shift maneuverability.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you're going to get going in a direction. It's going to be a bit tough to get going in that direction. But you can kind of dance around an object going that direction at speed. Oh, I've assisted suicide myself via 10.
Oops.
It's a great time then to pop over the Drake Buccaneer.
Oh yeah.
You have words for this one.
Well, so to start off, I think while people have always said like the Gladius and the Buccaneer should be the dyad, like the opposite ends, I really I'm gonna die on this hill. I think the Buccaneer and the Hornet are they're the weirdest opposite ends of the spectrum ever. Because the Hornet feels so safe. It feels like everything you do has control. You're not riding a rocket. You have control.
Oh,
10-4, it sounds like you have just accelerated and realized you have none of that with the Buccaneer.
The Buck just goes forwards. It goes. If you want to get there.
And like as an example, when you guys saw me take off just then, like in a straight line, it does not out accelerate the Gladius. But the point it goes to as far as speed before like the systems cap out is much faster. Off the line, you're not winning a drag race, but there is nothing that can run away from you if you can get up to speed.
So, with that, I wonder if that's going to try and be Drake's, like, their sort of design choice or whatever. And B, I wonder how that's going to affect the Herald.
Yeah. Well, I think, and this is like, I'm taking this line that I'm going to say straight out of what I posted in the LBL chat. The Buccaneer feels like a fighter designed by a company who does not have cutting edge technology, but because of that, they've decided, you know what? Take all the safeties off of it.
Yeah.
You will rattle a Buccaneer to death before it will tell you to stop. Where, like, a Gladius and a Hornet, they are going to stop you within safe limits. The Buccaneer does not. Like, you are riding the vomit comment.
It just goes. Like you said, it's kind of slow to get there compared to the others. But you want to get there, you're getting there, and you ain't stopping.
And, like, okay. As like, a Drake hater, as a joke, kind of, and, like, a little bit serious, this is a uniquely unpleasant flight experience. Because while you are in full control, there is nothing to stop you from killing yourself. There is absolutely no safety on this ship that's like, I'm just not going to run into something and blow up when I try and, like, maneuver.
No.
Nope. It's going to happen.
Now, as a more cautious pilot, like, in the last couple of years, I don't like that because it just feels scary. But people who want to just ride the vomit comet, ride the roller coaster, I think Drake is going to be an amazing brand for that.
Yeah.
And, like, I hope when we see, like, the Cutlasses, they're the same. It doesn't do anything not subpar. It doesn't do anything perfect. It's not the best at anything. But they've taken every single safety off. And if you want to push it, it will respond.
Well, and the idea of Drake being that interceptor where, you know, if you're taking off and you launch away, sure, you may get some distance on it, but that fucker is going to catch up to you, and it's going to do it quick, is a really cool idea for Drake.
Yeah, because your engines, like, on any, and I'm going to say self-respecting spaceship manufacturer, your engines are going to have their red line point, that if you drive your engine past that, you're in trouble. But I think it is such a crazy idea, and a good idea, that we have a manufacturer like Drake where it feels like that is just not the case. You put your foot down, and the engine will explode before it stops giving you power.
Drake does not have any self-respecting engineers. They want to know how fast it can go.
Yeah. No, and it's the definition of we thought, I wonder if I could, before thinking, right, I wonder if I should.
Hmm.
I mean, if you look at any Drake ship, the engines are, a quarter, if not a third, of the entire mass of that ship. And I'm excited to see that with the Herald, because that already is a fun little thing. But yeah, the Cutlasses, just because they have... I'm really curious about their VTOL capabilities.
Yes.
Because right now, current flight model, you put it in VTOL, and you rocket up through the Atmo.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that's going to be affected, because that's such a great little evac thing.
Well,
Yeah,
that's one of the ships that we've not seen, and actually one of the archetypes we've not seen. We've seen no VTOL in Master Mode so far.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I have always enjoyed with the Cutlass style ships is, like you said, VTOLing and just rocketing out, and you could black yourself out doing that. It's funny. But man, is it a useful tool for getting out?
Oh, exactly. So yes, that was the Buccaneer. Again, I know I told these guys I had tons and tons of words. I think I kept it kind of succinct.
You were very tame.
It's a flight experience with absolutely no safeties. It's the Ford Bronco that comes to the drag strip, and you look at the guy driving it, and he's taking out the passenger seat for a smokestack exhaust. But by God, he doesn't have tech. He's getting down that strip at a high speed.
The roof is also cut off.
Yeah. If he is capable of getting to the end of the strip without his car exploding, he is going to get there fast. Now, the guy who showed up in his Audi R8, he's gonna get to the end of the strip every time, but every time he does it, the car is going to decide how it happens.
Yeah.
You put your foot down, and there's only so much that car will give you, because a expensive German car manufacturer doesn't want their engine to be in a bajillion pieces on a drag strip.
to be fair, a German engine already has a billion pieces to it, so I could imagine
they want to keep them inside.
It's like you show up to track day, and it's a bunch of people with professionally tuned sports cars, and then one kid in his Honda Civic with an eBay turbo.
Yeah, right? But the kid with the eBay turbo, the Honda Civic, it doesn't say no. There is no spot where the Honda Civic tells him, stop.
It just goes.
Your track car Ferrari, you stick it out too far, rear left wheel misaligned, rear left wheel misaligned. The guy with the Honda's missing 4 doors, and his engine is 2 miles back. It's still going.
Still going.
It's sitting back there with a thumbs up saying, "You're good, bro."
Yeah.
You got it, man.
You don't need me.
I'll catch up. Keep going.
I'll keep going.
But honestly, though, I love that. I just love those design differences and the fact that they're like, no, this is what this manufacturer is. We're sticking to it.
Oh, and it's perfect because Aegis it's your military ship. It has no nonsense. It flies the way you would expect it to fly. Anvil, they're shooting bricks through space, and they know probably a little bit of maneuverability on the brick, in the direction you're going at least, is valuable.
But one thing I cannot knock for Anvil is that brick has a lot of firepower.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah, and I don't mean brick in a negative way, but they are bricks.
Compared to the other ones, yeah, you can tell the difference immediately when you jump from ship archetype.
The Hornet it's just a brick, but it has the angular maneuverability that the other ships wish they had.
It's a happy brick.
I mean, that also falls in line with the lore. So the lore and the gameplay are supporting each other because, Anvil now has the military contract. Aegis is slowly being phased out. It makes sense that Anvil's going to bring to the table something that's consistent, something that's reliable, relatively easy to use, and is going to perform how you think it's going to perform every time you do it.
Hmm.
That
Okay.
makes sense.
So I have just switched to the Buccaneer, or not the Buccaneer, the Merlin, the one ship I had not flown yet. This
Oh my
is an
god.
interesting comparison to the Buccaneer, because this is, by definition, it is the fancy German car. I think they're the only brand that actually uses a German accent in their advertising.
Yeah, the Kruger. It's a
It
German
is
name.
it is fast, but there's something about it that doesn't feel as much like you're in control. I don't know if you're getting the same feeling, Time Forward, but like it feels like I'm kind of out of control, but in control. Like the safeties are doing more for me than I'm doing for myself.
Yeah, I got to make a sharp sharp drift around this station. It's like not slowing me down, but it's easing the turn and keeping me from making it very sharp.
It's like ridiculous power up to a certain point, and then it just gives up.
Yeah.
Whereas a stark contrast to the Buccaneer never gave up. This,
No.
it has its limits.
Now, I wonder if this flight model is going to be consistent across to the Archimedes. Because what's Kruger got? The Archimedes, the Merlin,
And that's it.
and yeah.
Yeah, they're an RSI sub manufacturer.
Because it's essentially the same ship, but they do have slight differences. I think the
One we're flying currently is an interceptor, and the other one is a racing ship, technically.
fair. I don't know if that's a bug or gameplay purposes, but I was hitting the afterburners pretty hard, and I redlined it, and my ship just stopped moving for a while.
Man, those German safeties.
Right? They're like, hey, you need to slow down.
Yeah, you need to stop.
You can't do that.
But like looking at it, up until like I'm gonna say like 550, 600 as far as speed, the ship gives immense power, but it falls off at that point where the Buccaneer, like, until you topped up, didn't feel like it fell off.
Right.
Like,
Whereas
you
this
still
will give
got
you
about 30 kilometers left of range to go in your speedometer, but the ship is going to stop before it gets there.
Yeah. It's almost like it's got some form of like governor on it. It'll let you get up there, but even if it has the power, it's keeping you from getting it.
Exactly. Just so that we get a little bit of the grav bike racing, because I want to show that off as well. I'm going to switch to our last but not least ship, the Constellation. And this one, for anybody who's been playing Star Citizen for a long time, I don't know if Potato's in the channel, but he's gonna like this. He is very much going to like this. It's not a piece of garbage like we have been seeing for 7 years.
Ooh.
You're gonna see immediately as I start flying, the ship flies. It flies as you would expect, which is just wild. It's not a brick.
No, it's going where I want it to go. I mean, it takes it a moment, and it has to obviously maneuver and adjust to get where it needs to be, but it's still going. I don't have to fight it.
And I will also say, of all these ships, because technically the Merlin also counts as a civilian vessel, the Constellation feels the most civilian.
It is so weird to see that thing stop and turn. What is this ship? I don't recognize it.
Well, look at that. I pulled the maneuver and just gone. I was just off in the other direction. No,
holy crap.
It's wild. And when I say it's the most civilian of all the ships, I think that's one that, like, I might get in trouble for saying if I don't explain. Yes, it's the most civilian, but being the most civilian doesn't mean it's garbage. It just means everything it does seems to not have a lot of urgency. Like, it does
So-
it all smoothly.
Like the military ships really push their limits and everything. This thing is like, I'll do it when I'm doing it.
Yeah, like if you're driving a now this is we're talking a non-tuned Honda Civic. Every Honda Civic is going to drive relatively smooth. You're not paying for like Bentley levels of smooth. You're not paying for Rolls-Royce, but it's going to do smooth. Now on the other side, like the Honda Civic wasn't designed to do anything super high performance. If you're going to lane change, you're going to lane change. But you're not doing it at like hypercar speeds. And that's what this feels like. Nothing is happening at like breakneck speed, but everything is happening smoothly.
That's wild.
I think
It is
my
astonishing.
biggest take, and personally, I love the Constellations. I had one for a good while. I used it frequently. I genuinely love these ships. My biggest takeaway is that I'm not having to fight it anymore. Like I'm not doing everything I can to get it to turn.
It actually cooperates with you versus fighting you on every single thing you're trying to do.
What I'm
Yes.
So I'm gonna, and it's gonna sound ridiculous. I'm gonna rescind my original statement. Yes, the Gladius is the truest combat ship experience, and I think the Constellation that we have now is the truest spaceship experience we have of any of the ships that are in master modes currently. And I will die on that hill. It is the truest experience of the ships we've got because it is smooth. It doesn't do everything. It is your run of the mill everyday car.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, it feels the most civilian. This is what the average Joe would. I can imagine for cargo running or whatever else. But this is, that makes sense. This is what you're seeing on the road. It's not the crazy high performance racers or the military vessels. This is just your ship for your average guy.
Yeah.
No. Now that it's not in the state it is, like in the current, PU, watching it, this ship actually may be something people bring out, keep, and actually use. Because this really is, I'll say, the top end of a starter ship currently, but it's very unwieldy. It fights you on every, turn, everything you do. Now, this might be, like, a decent ship to hang on to.
Well, and if this is the RSI archetype, I think that is absolutely perfect that they have ships that feel like they're going to get you to work every single day without fail. And if they do fail, it's like a part that any mechanic can get their hands on and they can fix. You're just going to be able to get to work every time you go outside. It's getting you to the store, it's getting you to your job. It's doing everything.
I mean, I think that needs to be RSI's lineage, their design lineage, because that's kind of they did military stuff in the early days, but one of their big things, like with the Zeus Mark One, commercially available public ships for people to have to fly around. Like that was a lot of their stuff. And even though they have the Bengal and Scorpions and military capabilities, RSI is still just your average Joe type of deal, and I think they need to stick with that.
They're civilian first. They have moved into military, but they're civilian first.
I'll say RSI should be like their ship archetype should be like the ship. You could jump in it; it will do exactly what you need to, when you need it, how you need it, but it doesn't do anything uniquely. That's fine.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
As before we do a little bit of Gravlev, I just want to finish up the the Constellation versus the what's it called, the Merlin. I think that change, because I know in the Merlin and the Buccaneer we were all talking about like limiters and things. The Constellation, it feels like it has hard limits, yes, because self-respecting ship brand doesn't want everybody flying their ships to die. But that also being said, it just doesn't have that crazy immense power that it's getting to those limits. Potato wants me to fly the hover quad. Okay, I will fly the hover quad. 10 piece, you need to ready up. There we go.
Yep, I just did. I'm actually gonna run the Dragonfly.
Cool. But yeah, to finish up on the master modes, and like you guys can also obviously tag in with your own opinions. The Constellation is just, it doesn't do anything fast, it doesn't do anything super crazy, but it does. It flies the way a person would want it to.
It flies like it should.
It's good.
Exactly.
That's all it needs to be, is good.
It's enjoyable. Now, here we're jumping into the new hover quad racing, or not hover quad, but the new space bike racing. Apparently,
oh, this is cool.
Apparently, the race is already active. But this, for anybody watching, this is what hover bikes needed to be. This is what we needed, was like racing through canyons and the hover bikes, just going ballistic. They're also less splitty, so that's good.
I would say you're not bouncing around up in the air, like flopping violently.
You still do a little bit, but like...
Not nearly as bad as it once was.
Yeah, I was gonna say this... It's a far cry of what it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm like, okay, if you hit something, you hit something. Like...
Yeah.
It is a thing. But like, you can also... at least for the ground, it's felt like you can bounce a little bit and like hitch a little bit without being absolutely screwed. Which makes this just so much better.
So I've heard a good few things.
So, but before in hover vehicles, you touch the ground, be like goodbye.
You disintegrate.
Yeah.
It's so weird to see it actually like working how you would expect it to work.
This track is incredibly laggy though, so for anybody watching the stream, I apologize that the frame rate is just having a moment.
I'm still excited though to have grav bike tracks like that's wonderful.
That was supposed to be really cool. It was not, because the thing did not do. Pitching down for maximum speed, I do understand that is like, that's the way to go. You still bounce off things. You will die if you bounce too hard. Like that, I needed to take the jump at much higher suspension, because otherwise the hover quad just hits the bottoms out, and you won't get the ramp.
Interesting.
It's like you need some speed. I just don't think the hover quad's got the I don't think it's got the jumps to make it happen. Which, like, they're gonna tune.
Yeah, this is obviously still a relatively fresh iteration comparatively. I know it's been through cycles, but it's going to get better.
The Dragonfly really likes to like ramp up, and so does the Nox, from what it seems. But I don't know. It's trying. It's a cool new game mode, and it's a good way for them to test these bikes that were traditionally always not great.
You see, it's already better watching it than what it was before, because they were unwieldy before.
They were just They were god awful. To be as nice as possible, they were god awful.
Like you want to talk about having options for ground vehicles? They were not. They were not
No.
even part of it.
No, I'm trying to kill myself so I can switch to a different vehicle. Oh no, it won't let me. You
Yeah, it won't let you get your
you
time
can't switch
penalty.
in races.
It's also one hell of a statement. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying this little tiny snippet of what 323 has in store.
Yeah. Well, this isn't even 323. This is just 322.
But yeah, no, I just mean like with the whole master modes change in general, and the
It's
hopeful full implementation of it.
all the changes. It's going to be insanely weird logging in one day, and everyone's kind of going to be like, well, this is new. None of us have any experience with this.
It's like, oh,
Right,
this is different.
It'll be a new game again.
It was, because I was thinking about it as well, because it's going to be really interesting. Think of all the years of videos and stuff that have, been up for people for assistance to do this and that. Some of them are going to be irrelevant entirely.
Yeah.
Things are going to become entirely irrelevant, which is crazy to me. As somebody who has done a little bit of content creation within this game community, that's crazy to me that some of the stuff that I've done will become completely obsolete, and not in a terrible way or anything. Yeah, this hover quad does not like that jump. I think the Dragonfly seems to be doing it alright. The hover quad does not like it.
I think you should back out again. Then no, the Nox. Use what you wanted to earlier.
Oh, see, race is over. Things are less splody, but
It's a work in progress still.
it is. Rightly and truly, it's a work in progress, and things are happening. The game mode is moving along. I think it's huge that it is.
Well, and the big thing again, watching it is if you've ever touched a hover vehicle, that is insane progress.
Yeah, that
Still
was
has ways to go, but
yeah. That was not where it needs to be, but that was much farther than we'd had. 10 forward, do you want to do one more and then we can
Yeah,
call it?
we can do that. I might. I'm loading in now on the same map you are, so I don't know if I'll be in the same.
Yes, you are.
Oh, look at that!
You got there we go.
I think that's the biggest thing to remember here is that this is all work in progress still.
Yeah. And these bikes will change as we go.
You are leading the race.
it's so cool, and honestly, it's nice to see the work being done in a way where it's we actually get to experience it and see the difference.
Oh, I was convinced bikes were never getting fixed.
Oh yeah, but no, it's I know the people that maybe don't play the game or haven't played as much. They're like, okay, well, you're still crashing and dying. The current state is if you touch this, you're dead.
Yeah, I just rammed into a rock and my Nox is not exploded. That was wild.
Well,
And I'm going to space.
So see, you're going to space. For me, the ground doesn't exist. So I keep visiting, under the planet.
Under the sea.
Oh, I'm not held back by barriers. I can just go everywhere.
I'm not held back by reality.
Your mortal coil cannot stop me.
Yeah, I cannot be contained. Yeah, it's wild, and the hover bike tuning they've done, if this is what carries into the verse, it's not the best, and the bikes still have a ways to go, similar to ground vehicles in general, but this is enjoyable. This is ridiculously enjoyable.
it's cool to actually see the bikes being used, and again, kind of in a way they were meant to, of like speed racing. It's cool.
And they're fast, and like you don't have to worry about like exploding. That's the biggest one for me. Is like if I blow up, I blow up. For example, I blew up. Um,
I blew up.
I blew it up. It did. But I don't have to worry about that because, like, all in all, it's not the 45 minutes I took to get the bike out to an outpost and onto a ship or whatever. It's the 10 seconds it took me to load into a match to play a hover bike race, and then it's gonna be the 10 seconds it takes me to log back out of a hover bike race and pack up.
Yeah. Again, I'm hoping at some point in the future you know, there'll be an option for us to really take out into missions to use and even support. But
Oh yeah.
it's cool to see them have some form of a use of entertainment that's actually enjoyable finally versus, 'cause let's be real, they were literally just JPEGs that could kill you.
They would kill you. They just couldn't just kill you. They would kill you. Also,
Honestly,
I don't know if
the
anybody else has
hoverquad-
noticed. This mode is a death race.
Oh yeah.
We could fire our guns at each other if 10-4 didn't just fucking pop.
See, I'm in a hover quad. I don't think I got any guns.
No. Also, I don't know if you're noticing, but the hover quad feels kind of rough.
The what?
The hover quad feels kind of rough.
I actually like the hover quad. It feels
Oh,
better
yeah.
than the dragonfly.
It does feel better than the Dragonfly because it's quicker. I feel like it's a very, very weird bike.
It is. It's interesting, but I personally enjoy it.
It feels kind of like it is a weird way of saying it, but it feels ATV-ish.
It does, which I think that's kind of the point with it being a quad.
Like the
Meant to have that larger feel to it.
Dragonfly kind of feels Harley Davidson. This Nox is every street bike ever.
Oh yeah, because I'm watching you right now, 100%.
Also, the Sand People have shown up,
I was saying, who, huh?
taking pot shots at the racers. God damn! All right,
Is that a ship?
I have one apparently. That was a Cutlass.
What?
I mean, this feels like pod racing.
There's just some pirate cutlass. in
Why
the
is it
track.
here?
The funny.
Hello?
So the pirates are getting involved even.
That's honestly hilarious.
Oh, and there's people inside. Oh, I've killed people.
Oh,
On me on the phone, the 911.
what the?
Oh yeah, I'm getting shot at. Oh, I finished in second. Interesting.
All right, I think ending it there on that hilarity is perfect. All right,
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I love this game.
so that's the new
I
Arena
finished in
Commander mode.
first.
I can't begin to describe how ridiculous that was.
That
Cool. So
I enjoy it.
talk about unscripted events. Holy
I was
crap!
gonna say, right, like flying the hover bike racing and having pirates just show up. I think that makes this even better than it already was.
100%.
That said, I think that's all for this week, and we can start wrapping her up on master modes and Gravlev. I think the Gravlev mode we might take a look at again later because it is progressing really nicely.
Yeah,
was-
so that's.
That was actually fun.
I believe I got my EPTU actually working now. I had reinstalling it seemed to
Yeah,
yeah.
so we'll have to do some quad bike racing between now and our next show then.
Oh yeah.
If anybody wants to join for that, obviously LBL links are down below in either the description if you're watching on YouTube or in the, I think it's the panels is what they call it on Twitch. Feel free to click on it and join up. And you can join us in our next hover bike race. We may make a like community event out of it. We shall see.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Well, all right.
Do you guys have anything else to say, or are we good to wrap up?
I'm good. I think we're good to wrap up on my end at least.
All right.
I'm all good.
Alrighty. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for enjoying our ramblings for the last hour and 15 minutes. And we will see you next week.
See you
See
next
ya.
week.